right, let's start with Rich Girl Network.
This question is for Randy. Randy, this show is so impactful and in setting the tone, there's so many elements you have to work with. What were the two most important elements for you that was really foremost on your mind to present?
I think the most important off the top was trying to maintain some level of authenticity. You know what I mean? Because this is a story about, you know, two real guys. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Two real street legends. You know, it's also a show about Detroit, Southwest Detroit, the environment in which they came from. So I think that was the biggest point. Then the other thing was also kind of coupled with that, still enabling myself and the writers to have the creative freedom, you know, to, you know, tell a story that had, you know, a beginning, middle, end to it. And having said that, also enabling my actors the freedom to add their creative, you know, to it as well. You know, like I'll just give a specific example. Like Meech kept calling me saying, I wear my top 10s. I only tied them up to the third lace with the tongue out. You know what I mean? I remember very early on telling Lil Meech, that's not how you wear top 10s. And he's like, well, this is how I wear them. So, you know, I had to give him the creative, you know, the creative freedom to play the character, but still bring, you know, his own personality into it. So yeah, those were the two.
Well, fantastic show and amazing cast and great performances. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're dealing with a story that is legendary in the community. What did you have in mind when you came to play the character? And anyone can answer this question in regards to how you approached the role for something that is going to live on for decades, because the BMF, right or wrong, are legends, much the way we view legendary movies like The Godfather and The Goodfellas.
I'll start. I think I was trying to change the landscape of TV, but we hired one of the best hires that we ever made was we hired Tasha Smith. And what she wanted to do was romanticize this story the same way stories like The Godfather, Goodfellas are romanticized. And, you know, not just seen as, you know, a drug show. So I think she started and set that tone. And when she came on, she did a lot of rehearsals and conversations individually and collectively with the actors. You know what I mean? And I think that was seated in them, and they can talk more specifically from that. But that's where it came from a creative standpoint.
For me, it was just so dope because of the narration of it. Like you said, it's such a moment in time. It's such a particular part in our culture that was so significant in so many ways, from film to television and in the music and in, you know, these inner cities that deal with the same things that were going on in the show. So I think it's just so important that we were able to capture the truth of what it is that our culture looks like in that time in Detroit in the 80s during the cocaine pandemic. And I was just happy that, you know, everything was just right on point. Like everything was on cue, from, like Randy said, to the writers, to the hiring of the crew, costume, actors, everyone was on point. So I'm just so happy to see it all come together and be a dope presentation of our culture in that moment in time.
I was just curious as to, did you go to your father and get any advice from him on how to portray him? And if so, like, what kind of advice did he give you? Did he just say, you know me, do what you do? Or what happened? How did that go?
Well, no, for sure he gave me advice every day, because as much as I know him, I don't know what he did when he was 16, 17 growing up, you know, so he had to tell me it from a different aspect. I had to take it in as a different aspect and really put myself in his shoes and really just live truthfully in unimaginary circumstances. Talking to him really just helped me understand him more and understand the choices that he had to make, the choices that him and his brother had to make just to get their family out of poverty and just to get them to where they are now. So it was a lot, you know, just because he had so much going on, not just what he was doing in the streets, but with his family, with just him and his relationship with his mom and dad. And he loved his mom and dad, but they just didn't understand him at a young age, at the little boy Meech. They didn't understand that he was a man already at 16, 17. He already making a way for his family to be out of poverty forever. So I feel like people would definitely get to grasp and understand that from our story, and everybody would love it.
My question is a general question for anyone who is willing to answer. I just wanted to know, how did you guys prepare for your roles, and what were some things that you guys did to prepare? And would you say that the characters you took on kind of fit you as an individual, or you had to step out of your own character to portray these characters in this project?
Well, what definitely helped me was kind of songs from the era, just to kind of give that the vibe of the world at the time. And I personally believe that when you come across a character, like, it's the character is not alive until they have to borrow like your body, your instincts, your choices, and all those kind of things. So yes, is it far removed from me? Yes, but in terms of like the accessibility and the choices that the character makes, I think that we're all capable of making all choices under the sun. It's just about you empathizing and understanding that character, and falling in love with that character. And I think not only myself, but I feel like it's portrayed with every character within the series. I think every character, I think everybody done a great job in terms of portraying that character.
I believe B Mickey had his own swag to himself, and I added that from my personal experiences. And I know I got my own swag, so I added on to B Mickey. But on top of that, I was fortunate enough to watch videos of B Mickey talking and gaining his mannerisms and the energy that he puts out when he's sitting in front of a person. So I just added that, and just studying the dialogue, reading the script, and just understanding, what I'm saying, the trials and tribulations he's going through, and just putting that throughout his emotions.
Mr. Randy Huggins, being a person from the D while you was filming on different locations, were you filming another movie inside of your head as far as like nostalgia as you're going through the city, remembering what it was like as a young man? You're still young, but as a younger man in the 80s, as you were filming this film? Did you have two movies going, one in the camera and one inside your head, of all of your memories from growing up in the D in Detroit?
Nah, it was pretty much, this is what made it special. I had envisioned this when I was writing it. You know what I mean? When I was writing this, I legitimately thought we were shooting every single frame in the D. So yes, that soundtrack was in my head when I was writing it. But once we got there to shooting it, honest to God, the soundtrack is in the pages. Like, I'm telling you what song should be playing. So yeah, I don't think it was there shooting. I think it happened before. Detroit has such a rich history in music. And one of the things that I really wanted to do was make Detroit a character in this, the same way Los Angeles is a character in Snowfall, or Baltimore is a character in The Wire. You know what I mean? Detroit has a rich history of music, and I'm not just talking about Eminem or Motown music. We during the 80s, what we were listening to was techno music. Now, nowadays, people call that EDM, but it originated from the Belleville 3. I mean, we had Mojo, you know what I mean? We had The Wizard. So all of that you'll find in our show as you continue watching it.
You are, in a way, a professor for this generation who have learned about you from your previous shows or movies. So how important was it for you to portray this role for another individual who was not even thought about being born whenever this whole situation went on, but they're going to take away from your role in this movie?
Having the honor to play this character has been something beyond my wildest dreams. Honestly, it's like when Denzel played Frank Lucas. Just a true two crime brothers that they made history. They ran one of the largest domestic drug distributions in the history of America. These are two, and they call it organized crime, you know, because they're smart. They don't want to give them the credit for how smart they was. They just say organized, but these guys were intelligent, you know, just genius humans, and to think they created this in the little circumstances that they had. Imagine if they had the opportunities like some of these, you know, Caucasians have. You know what I'm saying? Picture what they would have created. They probably would have created Google. They probably would have created Apple. They probably would have created the next greatest best thing. But with the hands that they were dealt, they turned shit to sugar and still try to pay it forward. And you know, they paved the way for us to be here answering these questions. And you know what I'm saying? This is years after what they did. And I just think it's such an honor to play this character. As I said before, you know, this is better than being a superhero because I get to meet the people in real life and a family, you know, and me and them, and Meech taking me in to his family and them embracing me, and, you know, and them sharing stories and getting real emotional. It was just like, wow, like, you know, I think this is every artist's dream to tell a true story, you know, and meet the people where you're telling the story. So it's like, I just hope people who's been following my journey, like when they watch this, they're just like, wow, this kid is like, you know, he tried to be authentic and real as possible. And, you know, and if people misunderstand the project, which that happens all the time, I hope when they watch the interviews and they see, you know, Meech, myself, Adriana, Miles, and Kofi, and the rest of the amazing cast, when we talk about the show, they get like, oh, it was bigger than just the flashing lights and the guns. You know what I'm saying? This is a real story, and you know, not to quote Childish Gambino, but this is America. You know,
no doubt, baby. Bring it.
This is America. This is a story of America. So I think, you know, it's real and it's told from the Black perspective. You know, and I'm ready for the hate and the naysayers. People say, oh, you're promoting this is not. It's like, no, not. I mean, I don't think so. You know, we're just telling the real story. This really happened, did it not? You know, so.
Hi, my name is Kyrie Cook. I just want to know, anyone can answer this, by the way. How does this type of narrative strengthen the era of Black empowerment and social justice today?
From a Black empowerment standpoint, I think you're dealing with two African American males who came from sort of a city that was falling apart at that time. I mean, when you talk about the educational system of Detroit, when you talk about the jobs leaving Detroit, so there was no opportunity, right? So they went and they created their opportunity. You know what I mean? Themselves. So to me, that is Black empowerment, because not only one can look at that and say, yeah, but they were selling drugs. But I'm like, but they also weren't just selling drugs. They were also helping other people go to college. They were also helping other people in the community. So they were doing empowering things. And I think that's what makes this story very complex, because it's not just dark, it's also light. And like, one of the things that I'm really trying to capture in here is humor and sadness. So hopefully we're touching on an array of things. And although this looks like something negative, hopefully we'll be able to show how they turned this negative into a positive that does speak to everything you're talking about.
And just to go a little off of what Randy was saying, you know, to me, it's also about the team. It takes all hands on deck to make a movement like that matter, to make it not just a moment, but a movement. So even with STARS itself, you know, having a program like Take the Lead, which I was so proud to be a part of, you know, to me, that's just taking a step in the right direction into just allowing us to have an opportunity to include people on all levels of decision making, like from on and off the cameras. To me, that's just a big movement. And to have this happen without bias. And so for people to have more opportunities just from more diverse leaders on this organization, I think that's just a great start. And I'm so happy to see all the people that's involved, and to see men and women being given the opportunity to just do things and use their voices on a bigger platform in a bigger light, and to tell a story that means much more than, you know, just selling the negativity of things, but showing a way of life of our culture, and honoring Meech, honoring BMF and their legacy, having a platform to even tell a story, because at the end of the day, this is somebody's real life. And not a lot of people give us that opportunity to tell our stories and use our voices. So just the show itself and the organization stars take the lead. Thank you guys so much, because that's a step in the right direction.
100%. Tasha Smith is the director of the pilot and an executive producer of the show.
Yeah.
So take the lead.
Take the lead.
Thank you so much, Adriana. What a way to bring it home. Love that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This wraps the BMF Media Day.